Hey, friends! I'm Jesse Fisco.
And I'm Ambry Fisco.
As founders of several successful businesses, we've experienced absolute joy and satisfaction working together to build our empire.
Our journey started off as a small business idea and has launched into a multi-million-dollar portfolio. It would have never been possible had Jesse and I not understood the key principles of making it all work together. But it has not been easy.
We found ourselves in the trenches trying to balance real life with business life while maintaining our strong commitment to creating an amazing marriage.
And we've emerged in a beautiful way together. This podcast was created to help you do what we've done, build an amazing marriage together while maintaining balance between life and business.
So here we are. You're listening to the Matrimonial Merger, a couple's guide to balancing life and business.
Let's get started.
What is up, Matrimonial Merger?
Hello, welcome back. Happy Wednesday. If you're listening to this on Wednesday.
Y'all turn the clocks back an hour.
Oh yeah, how's that daylight savings life?
I'll tell you, for us right now, we're used to doing this podcast without children, and we have one up listening or watching TV. So,
which makes not a lot of sense.
No,
because it's like technically feels like it's an hour later right now.
Yeah.
So it's that isn't necessarily daylight savings, but this particular child does not ever take naps, and today she took a nap.
True.
So she gets to stay up a little late. And
you identified her by her gender,
very excited,
by the way, by calling her a she. So now everyone knows. Now everyone knows.
I'm pretty sure everyone can assume. Wow.
Anyways.
But yeah, she is very happy about this right now.
Yes.
And she gets to stay up a little late.
And I blame Grandma. Grandma, if you're listening, you gave them too much sugar.
She didn't give them that much sugar.
I'm just kidding. Anyways, guys, super excited to introduce today's episode. Ambry and I, on the way home, talked about this, and this is actually really this is real, and you guys will probably find yourself
it's a real
listening to this going, holy crap, like Jesse and Ambry just described me in my life. Yeah. And if that's the case, hey, great. Now we're bringing this to your awareness. And
you're not alone.
Yeah.
Great news.
You're welcome. And you can make the check out to Jesse and Ambry Fisco. That's great. Wow. I'm just kidding. Anyways, so I'm going to open up with a scenario. Okay. And I want you guys to all think about the last time you felt a little down, or maybe that's right now, and you're scrolling through Facebook or Instagram, maybe looking at Pinterest, maybe on the news, something, right? And you come across
some kind of media. Yeah,
some sort of media. Maybe it's a movie, some couple is like madly in love, whatever the case, right? Anyways, you come across something and you find yourself going, wow, I want that.
Must be nice.
Maybe it's the car. Maybe it's the vacation. Yeah.
Jinx.
Whoa. Jinx. It's like we've been married for 10 years or something. Maybe it's someone posts that they've lost some weight. Maybe it's someone has a
anything new.
Home.
New. And I think that specifically social media is a place where this is super common. People are excited to show, they're
it's a bragging
new.
board.
They're
right.
It's
interesting.
You get to see everyone's I think, what do they say? Highlight reel, all the great things.
You get to see all the amazing. So you go through that and you see something and this really, really grabs your attention and you're very intrigued by it and you go, man, I want that. And then instantly the thought comes in, oh, you can't have that.
Or just any kind of negative thought. There's so many.
Man.
That'd be impossible for me.
You can't, my husband won't let me buy those boots.
I would never be able to do that.
Yeah. Oh, my kids restrict me from doing that.
Yeah.
You ever find yourself thinking that way? Instantly, you see something, you're like, man, that's so amazing.
Someone would think something or just you just literally think it's not possible for you. Must be nice to be that person and have, infinite resources or whatever it is that, comes to
all
your mind.
All this money,
Yeah.
I'll never have all that money.
And I think most of us can relate to like that sort of feeling or seeing something and kind of initially responding as like, oh, like, you know, sure, you might be happy for that person. Like, it's not that you like hate them. But like, you know, but you might have a response internally that's like negative.
Yeah.
Not what you would want.
Absolutely. So then the question is,
That's the problem.
That's the real problem.
I think
right?
everyone would want to agree that that's a problem.
That's definitely the problem. And that's why we're talking about today's episode, is that very moment being the problem. You see, the issue is, it's not the fact that you're seeing something that you think you want. What the issue is that you don't know what you want. And so when something comes across that seems awesome in an external environment, something that's like, whoa, that's amazing, you start to justify either why you can't have it or who is the problem. You start to identify a problem within yourself, or you start to completely just disregard that person and start labeling that person for achieving something that, to be honest with you, you may not even know if that makes you happy or not. For example, someone buys a camping trailer, and you come across this, but then the one time you go camping, it's this terrible experience and you absolutely hate it. Then why are you feeling this way for someone that went and bought a camping trailer?
Like, why are you wanting something because someone else, you know, you saw someone else like have this great experience.
Yeah.
So then you go and, you know, try to replicate that or whatever. Not saying that this always could go wrong or be a bad thing, but like, if it's not truly what you want, then, you know, why chasing that? And the thought that came to my mind while you were talking is like being influenced, right? So like we're all like, we can be influenced, right? And like, I don't think there's anything wrong with influencers. Like there's, you know, influencers on social media, people that have, you know, a ton of followers. And, you know, I will be the first to admit, and I don't even think it's admit, but the first to say, like, there's been so many times when someone that I like respect or admire or whatever, for whatever reason on social media, like they post something and they're like, you should buy this. There's been several times I'm like, yeah, I should buy that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was something I wanted. Other times, you know, maybe not. Other times it was just like, okay, cool. And I'm not saying that that's good or bad, but like, I think we talk about this a lot too, but like be curious about the emotion you have around it and like why you're doing it.
Yep.
And like, you know, the biggest thing is like, if you find yourself having a thought of like, oh, that's not possible for me, or, oh, that's, you know, too much money, or gosh, that person like, you know, spent a lot of time or money or energy or whatever doing that. And you're kind of being like judgmental or negative or limiting in your belief that like you could have that if you want it. So like, I don't, yeah. What's your, I guess I was like kind of going towards like, what would that look like, or what would you do instead? So that's the path we're going to go down.
Oh, absolutely. So I think the biggest thing, first of all, is some of you guys don't even know what you want internally. And so you go on social media and you experience someone else's experience and you try to vicariously replicate that, right? Or live that through your own set of eyes and your model of the world. And quite frankly, you may find yourself disappointed that the trip doesn't turn out that way. And I'm not saying you do this intentionally. What I'm saying is you see someone go to Disneyland and you go, man, we should go to Disneyland. And some of you go, oh, no, we can't because of the kids. And some of you go, oh, well, we can't afford it. Or, oh, well, my husband or my wife is a tightwad and it's their problem, which therefore you start labeling on them. And what happens is then if you start labeling other people for the reasons why you can't experience things, you know what's knocking around the corner is divorce, problems with your relationship, and other things that are not necessarily healthy for you because you're taking this external thing that you don't even know if it will make you happy. You're taking it, and then you start to justify all the reasons why you cannot have it. When realistically, you don't even know what you want.
Right. Or if you do just jump and go get that thing or whatever it is, right? If you didn't really know that's what you wanted and design like the feeling and the experience around it, what if you do find yourself disappointed and then you're like, well, you know, that person like looks so happy and so this and so that, and like it looked great.
Yeah.
Well, if it's not what you wanted, it's not going to be the same experience as someone else. So
right.
Don't chase someone else's version of happiness and joy and rather than your own. And it could be that something that you see someone else do or see could be what you want.
Yeah.
And then it's the belief that like, oh, I'm so happy for them. I can do that too. Like I
Correct.
can, you know, I have all the like abilities and resources to do that. And then, you know, how much more fun and exciting when you do it and it's as amazing as you imagined.
Yeah.
And you can go share that joy with that person maybe and be like, oh my gosh, I did this too, or whatever, like, let's talk about it. This is so cool. Rather than like creating this resentment towards someone because they have something that you want, when it's like, if that's what you want, you can get it. And if it's not what you want, that's okay.
Right.
You don't have to like have the same source for happiness and joy as someone else. And it's not necessarily like an external thing. Happiness is internal.
Yep.
It's, you know, you could have someone that goes and buys a $500,000 car and they could be just as happy, just as fulfilled, just as like wealthy in their mind as someone who bought a $25,000 car that they've always wanted, right? Mm-hmm. Like that is, you know, it's all relative. Like you create happiness internally. And if you're going after what you want and what makes you happy, it doesn't matter what it is necessarily.
You see, but the thing
There's not a price tag on that, right?
Exactly. But what you see is you see how excited someone is at winning because they went and got the very thing that they worked so hard for, that you look at that happiness and you can feel it through the phone or through whatever platform or device you're using and you feel it. And that right there, I'm getting very strong.
I can feel your passion
that
right now.
There, that experience, that emotion you're chasing, that is what you're looking for. It's not the item that is in front of you. But the problem is too many of you look at that and say, oh, it must be tied to that item. And it's never tied to the item. What it's tied to is your sense of accomplishment of achieving it, that individual did.
Yeah.
They defeated the odds and they had the courage to go through it. And because of that, that is what you want.
I love that. That's super awesome. And like, if you don't mind, I'll share like kind of a personal, maybe we've talked about this. I can't remember, but like we bought a McLaren like a year and a half ago.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Whatever. And it was a fantastic experience overall. Like, but a lot of the reasons why we bought it in the first place were external. Mm-hmm. And it was like, you know, that was kind of, I mean, not to go into a lot of detail, but a lot of it was external. And there was a lot of fulfillment. It was great, you know, ups and downs with owning that car, right? But like, fast forward a year and a half later, and Jesse like decided, you know, I want to do something different, and I want to, you know, and he started like really thinking through like what he wanted and designing the details and the why, and like, you know, why am I doing this? Like, is it because like other people have this car, do this or whatever? Like, what do I actually want? And it was a cool process to watch because the car he ended up getting, like, I don't even know if I would have ever thought that would be
right.
You know, he has a Porsche Taycan now, and it's a fantastic car. But this time around, watching this process, it was like really nothing about an external like environment or external.
Most people don't even know I drive it.
It's
crazy.
There was nothing like external, obviously, like, yeah. And so it was like internal, like I'm buying this car because I feel incredible. And when I sit in that car, when I drive that car, I feel like my best self. And it's not to say the car's making you that way, right? But like the feeling you design and create when you get in that car and when you feel, you know, what you've done to be able to deserve that car and to be in that situation. And then it kind of fuels you and motivates you towards like what's next and how. I hope I'm making sense, but it was more of like an internal, like decision.
I knew exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
And it didn't have to do with anything else. And it didn't have to do with the gentleman that buys the brand new Corvette, the gentleman that buys the brand new Lamborghini, or the gentleman that buys whatever, the boat. It did not matter. And so what mattered is my internal happiness of the car that I wanted, regardless of the price tag. It did not matter because like you said, I talked to someone that's like, dude, if I could just have an 87 Beamer, like James Bond, or like I would be the happiest guy in the world. That's a $15,000, $20,000 car. Whereas other cars cost millions of dollars, right? Doesn't matter as long as you get that feeling that it's what you want internally.
Yeah. And it's fueling whatever, is creating you to be your best self and your most successful self and give you that drive and motivation to continue to be excellent, right? So
let me just tell you, like, here's an example of what I mean. We jumped in that car tonight. We found out that this Porsche actually has LED lighting and you can change the interior of the car. I didn't even know that.
The color of the lights.
So
pretty awesome.
You go from a LED white, which was what we thought it was, and then you can change it to to blue,
like a soft white,
and to orange, and to green.
Yeah.
And the minute we saw that, it was like, I freaking love this car even more. And like, there was this car is the greatest thing ever, right? And it made me feel even more pumped of I've got to work harder to figure out the resources, not harder in the essence of like working overtime, but I have to find more resources to have more moments like this, because this moment of finding something completely wow factor that was just that extra piece to solidify, like, boom, here you go. Like that was super cool.
Yeah.
It was
details
like,
are important.
Yeah. And I didn't even know that was a possibility, but now I know that the next vehicle, I told you already, I want it to have multi-colors and just change every 3 minutes, right?
Yeah.
That's important now. So whatever vehicle I have is going to have an interchanging LED on the interior of like an ambient light.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So cool. Now,
I think it's important though that you, Jesse, you associate with a lot of like very successful people.
Yes.
And some of them and cars aren't important to everyone, right? Like that, we're just using this as an example. But like, a lot of people that drive some really nice, really cool cars of all sorts, right? Yeah. Like, but like when you're making your decision, like it's not to say that it can't be what someone else has, because maybe that is what you want. Maybe you rode in a car, whatever it is, with someone and you were like, this is incredible. Like, this is what I want. Yeah. I'm not saying that isn't the case, but just like allow yourself to be curious and also like realize what it is that you want. Like, you can appreciate that and, but if it's not what you want, that's okay. Like there's something else out there that's what you want, whether it's a different car or not even a car. Maybe it's an experience. Maybe it's, whatever that is. But like, bottom line is like when you don't have a plan and you don't know what you want, the result can be, discontent, resentment, frustration, confusion, just all those negative emotions that we know we wouldn't want to experience if we don't have to, because we are in control, right? So if you can have a plan and be in control of your environment and what you want, all of a sudden, like all these external things and data coming at us, that's all it is.
That's all it is.
You're able to
the path you're going on.
Right.
You're walking the trail, the straight and narrow, because you know what it is, right? And if there's a path off to the left, you get to make that decision of whether or not you deviate, but it's so much easier because you know where you're going. Instead of deviating, it's easy this way because I've already experienced this in my mind and I've already laid down the map. Mm-hmm. You're no longer taking shortcuts in your life because life is easy because you know what's in front of you on the trail. You see, I'm going to get heated again. I spent this weekend talking to a lot of people I love. And the one thing that I kept hearing is the word, I don't know. And at what point are you going to take control and say, this is what I know and this is what I want? At what point are you going to realize, doesn't matter how old you are, that what you want is extremely important to you. And once you determine what you want, there is nothing in this world that will stop you from getting it because it's what you want. There's not a motivating force stronger than your desire of something that you want.
Yeah.
So why are we not spending more time trying to understand what it is we truly want?
Right.
Do you guys not think that your purpose and your whole idea of life would be unfolded before your freaking eyes? Like if you just sat down and said, what are the things I truly want and envisioned it?
Yeah.
Do you not think that you would just be like, oh my gosh, I just found my purpose of life. Yeah. And like that purpose could come in many shapes or forms. Like I asked my brother-in-law, 17 years old, hey dude, why are you not asking every girl out on a date that you find attractive? And he says, well, because I'm afraid of this and this and this. Well, what if that didn't exist? Well, what if it does? It doesn't. And
only exists if you allow it to, right?
And then he's like, well, I just feel this way. And I just looked at him. I said, is it because you don't even know what you want? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, there you go, dude. If you knew what you wanted, you'd be asking every girl out because you're looking for her. Now, granted, he's 17. He's not getting married. 18. He's not getting married. Not getting married. But that impact that in that conversation, you could just see it in his eyes where it's like, holy crap, like that actually makes sense. Like, because there would be no fear because your courage and the momentum of what you truly wanted would take you through anything. Doesn't matter what's on that path in front of you. You're going through it.
Yeah. You're limitless because you're choose limitless. To be.
Yeah. And you're courageous because you know at the end of this trail, at the end of your journey, you're going to get what you want. And it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. And you guys, the coolest thing about that is the internal peace that comes. It's the internal happiness because you got what you actually wanted. There's a new sense of energy because you've experienced something amazing throughout the journey. You've learned a ton. You've had so much emotion and you got through it. And most importantly, you showed yourself that you could create whatever it is you wanted. And you could make it happen. And it wasn't anyone else. It was you. And that right there is super powerful.
If you want more confidence, there's how to get it, right? Yeah. Like, how could you not feel confident and empowered?
Every time I jump in this Porsche, you guys, I feel like a freaking baller because I've gotten exactly what I wanted. And it's not because of the car. It's not because of the price. It's because I did something that I didn't know I could do.
That you at one point thought was impossible.
I didn't know I could take on a $2,500 a month car payment until I did. And then when I did, I drive around in that car feeling empowered, feeling unlimited in my resources, and knowing that whatever comes my way, recession, scarcity mindset, whatever comes my way, I can get through it because I've been there before and I got to this level.
Yeah.
Extreme power, extreme confidence.
I love it.
Okay. But stop wasting your time looking at other people in the external environment and start looking at your internal and what's going to make you happy to feel this way.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the vacations that you don't even know if you want to go on.
Right.
Worry about the vacations you want to go on and work towards those.
And that's such an important piece is the knowing, right? Like I was just thinking like while you're talking, like I think...
Sorry, I'm glad you could think while I'm like yelling in the mic, right? But sorry.
I love it. Yeah, that was very full of passion. So it seems like in general, it's pretty like normal, average, acceptable to like not know, right?
Right.
I mean, I think we can all think of a time probably recently where we're like, I don't know.
Right.
Right. Like it's a very casual, quick response. Like it's just easy and it's a habit, right?
Yeah.
What if you could consider that like not knowing takes just as much effort as knowing
and energy
and energy.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, I think sometimes not knowing just kind of seems like easy it doesn't take any energy or effort. But what if it takes the same amount of energy to not know as it does to know? And if that were the truth, then all it is a simple change and shift in your habit and the way that you think. And all of a sudden you could know instead of not knowing.
I'm so glad you said that because you think about it, you get caught up in the last moment and you're like, oh, we have 3 hours to kill. What do you spend most of your time doing? with that 3 hours.
Trying to decide what to do.
Trying to decide what you do. By the time you've actually decided and made the plan, there's no time left.
Yeah.
And then you're frustrated because you've wasted 3 hours of your precious time because you know on Monday you've got to get back up and go to work at a job you hate because you haven't planned your life.
Oh, man, that was scorched.
Yeah. I'm coming in. It must be.
Coming in
I don't know what it is, but the lime and the Coke is extra strong. So I feel
Speaking of the lime and the Coke, I keep getting so distracted by it because Jesse has a little clear cup with his Coke in it, Diet Coke or Coke Zero, whatever.
Yeah.
And there's lime in there, and I look over this lime, and there's a sticker on it, and it's driving me crazy because there's a sticker on the lime.
Hey,
I just laugh.
I designed
Jesse and
that.
I are so different, and it cracks me up.
Lime.
Like I could not leave a sticker on my lime and throw it in my drink.
Can you imagine if that came off and hit you in the back of the throat?
That lime would be like that lime would be like washed off, cleaned. Like if I was throwing it in my drink, so I was just dying sitting here like that sticker. What is it doing in there? Yeah. Anyways.
You guys,
it's okay to be different.
I'm extremely passionate about this episode because I'm just so tired of listening to people say, I don't know. If you knew what you wanted, it would be easy for you to make decisions. It would be easy for you to find more opportunities in your life to get what you wanted. And I'm tired of the, I don't know. Because, hey, where do you want to eat? I don't know. Well, why don't you want to eat? If you knew what was important, think about, I'm going to bring in our working out here. When you and I talk and we're both locked in on our macronutrients, we're following things, and I look at you and go, what do you want to eat? You know, wherever you want to eat needs to have chicken. It needs to have food. So it makes it very, very easy for you to make a decision instead of, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
Same thing with me.
There's a purpose.
There's a purpose behind it. But because a lot of us don't know, then we make poor decisions based off the moment, and our brain sends chemicals to our body, and our body sends chemicals back up to our brain, and they work harmoniously. And before you know it, your body is like, well, geez, that cheeseburger and that chip cookie and that crumble cookie and all these things sound good, and you're feeling sick the next day because you've just pigged out because you don't know what you want.
You're not aligned.
You're not aligned. Once again, another scorch.
Yeah.
I can't beat this in anyone's head more enough.
But what if it could be just as simple to be aligned as to be not aligned? I think that's something we don't consider is something that we're doing or not doing. It might seem comfortable or easy, but that's just because that's what you've always done.
Right.
And that's a habit. It's easy. Yeah. It's the path of least resistance. And that's where your unconscious mind is going to go every time because
every time
the data's there, that's what we do.
Yep.
So unless you shift or challenge that or start doing things just a little bit different, challenging your habits, challenging your, programs, nothing will change. And literally, if you could believe that it takes just as much energy to do the easy as it is to do the hard, you just need to do it in a different way or shift your mind. Who wouldn't want to,
For our entrepreneur listeners out there, it takes just as much effort to go to a job interview and to apply for multiple jobs and find the job that fits most comforting for you than it does to just create your product, get it launched, and go for it.
Totally. It's just what has potentially always been, it's what your family's always done. It's what you've always done. It's what maybe your friends have done or whatever. So it seems like a comfort zone. It seems comfortable. But what if it's no more comfortable or easy as what right now looks to you to be hard or impossible?
Well, the
you
thing
just haven't considered.
And you haven't considered if you had a plan and you knew that plan, how easy would it be to actually get there?
Right.
You see, they don't teach this stuff in entrepreneur class and business school. They don't teach that. They don't teach you got to make a plan. They just teach you go in and this is how it works and this is how you climb up the corporate ladder and get the job you want. And they teach you all the necessary skills of how to use Google Docs and IT work, but they don't teach you that all it takes is to design a freaking plan of what you want and then allow your mind to just allow you to do what you want to do.
You're either designing a plan of what you want or what you don't want.
Yeah.
So which one do you want? Literally you're thinking about, when there's something you don't want, you're thinking about it. You're sending energy there. You are thinking about it. You're spending just as much time thinking about not doing that
Wow.
or whatever, right? As like it takes, there's
You're blowing my mind right now. Like,
Woo!
yeah, go you.
I like it. No, but like really, I mean, if you think about like, you brought up health and fitness. Because Jesse and I are on like a journey of bettering ourselves in every aspect, like you'll just naturally hear about. I think that being like in control and in power over your life and, you know, spiritual, physical, emotional, mental, like all of these things are necessary. So, but if you think about like working out, going to the gym, eating good, nutritious food, right? It really takes as much effort and energy as doing the opposite.
Yeah.
It's just that certain like habits and programs, because of the way, you know, we've always lived or we were raised or whatever, seem easier. Mm-hmm. Like we talked about this before, Jesse, where it's like, there's some nights in the past where like, you know, we're sitting at home, there's food in the fridge and in the pantry, and we're like, oh, it's so hard to like go make food. Let's go out. Well, it takes just as much, if not more time for us to like get in the car, load up the kids, get everyone's shoes on, go to the restaurant, whatever it is, right? Order food, wait for the food. Like if you have kids, you know what it's like going to a restaurant. Like there's effort there. And then, you know, you get your food, you end up going home. It probably took longer than if you at home grabbed the chicken out of the freezer, you know, put some seasoning on it, put it in the oven, got some like rice in the Instant Pot, whatever, right? Like it probably took just as much time and effort. It's just different. They're different, right? So like you got to pick which one you're going towards. But like, are you putting all your mental time and energy and physical time and energy thinking about and doing what you don't want or avoiding what you don't want? Or are you putting that time and energy towards what you want? Right. And if that was the same amount of time and energy, which outcome would you freaking choose? Like, you can't tell me that you would choose the one going towards what you don't want. And then when you are presented from, you know, external sources, whether it's social media or whatever, when someone, you know, you see someone else achieving something or doing something or being successful, like you're going to be happy for them, obviously. And then also like, you're going to be like excited for yourself for that feeling you're going to get when you achieve what you want and what you're going after, even if it's completely different than, you know, everyone around you. You know what you're looking for and the feeling that you're chasing.
The goal to internal happiness so that you can love yourself, so that you can turn around and go serve other people, which is second greatest commandment, right? To love thy neighbor. In order for you to love yourself, you've got to go get what you want, and you have to show yourself that you can get what you want. And that may be in the material, it may be an experience. It may be just a conversation with your son or daughter that you truly, truly want, that you need to spend the time and design to have.
Sure.
Because that's not just going to happen without you spending the time. I mean, I think about it. We had an opportunity to go out to dinner yesterday. And instead of just going to the normal place, we spent an extra 10 minutes and said, you know what, we're going to go somewhere and create a memory of it. And I'll tell you what, that dinner, the food wasn't that great.
It was good.
It was good.
Like it wasn't.
But the memory of Trey sticking his eyeball through the little hole, trying to say peekaboo to the people behind us, and the way that he took the cheesecake and was trying to eat it like a dinosaur. And the time-lapse videos and the big smile on Quincy's face because we spent a little bit extra time designing the outcome, what we wanted for a family dinner.
The interesting thing about that...
It was more fun.
It was more fun. And what I love about that, I'm glad you brought that up because the circumstance of that dinner and like, I mean, Trey is crazy at like, he doesn't sit still. If you have kids,
he's a blender without a top on, right? Yeah.
But like he was no different there at that restaurant than any other experience. But there's been other experiences we've had where we leave like, oh, we should have never done that. Like this was just a horrible experience. Let's never eat out ever again. Like, but then like last night, because we had like this excitement, this desire, this like, we know where we're going. We know what we want to do. We know the experience we're creating and like, you know, the memory. So like we sat there and like all this like feedback of, Trey throwing food, Trey literally spilling a drink all over Jesse's lap. Like these things still happened. However, like our response and attitude towards them were completely different because we knew we were doing what we wanted. And we knew that like, there was a purpose behind it. And I mean, it's crazy to think of that though, because like I laugh at that experience. It was like crazy. Yeah. But like we laughed and we smiled and we were like, this is a memory that we will cherish, right? Even though messes were made, heads might have been bonked. Like things still happened, like normal family. I
want you guys to understand the science behind it, okay? When you have a feeling and an experience, that creates an emotion together. That emotion, depending on how long it's in your body.
And you can choose that emotion.
You can choose that emotion. And how long that emotion is in your body, your brain releases chemicals to your body, and you have this feeling with the experience. There's this emotion, and that emotion could be happiness, it could be anger, it could be whatever it is based off that moment. The longer you allow that emotion to sit in your body, the more it becomes a mood. The longer that mood stays in your body, the longer you allow it to stay there, it becomes your personality. Okay? So some of your guys' personalities have been shaped by an experience that, whether it's for good or for bad, your personality's been shaped based off of experiences you've had.
Yeah.
Now imagine feeling amazing every single day because you said, I'm 100% control. You're right. Getting a drink spilt on my lap, not fun, right? But the fact is, I didn't have a feeling of frustration or anger when he spilt that I would have had before because you're exactly right. I knew the outcome I was going for.
Yeah.
I was so laser focused, so were you, that it was funny. We laughed, didn't care who was looking at us, didn't care about the people because we were in the moment of what we were trying to design. That outcome became an amazing experience, which then ties emotions to our kids, which makes them better people. And I'm going to stop right there because I'm going to cry if I keep going.
Jesse's crying now. I love it.
But that is the thing.
Yeah.
You guys have got to design what you want. And I mean, it doesn't have to be
know
crazy.
What you value.
It just has to be what you want out of that moment. It has to be stepping outside and doing something different, creating a new experience tied with the emotion. If you continue to eat at the same restaurant every single day, you're living in the past. You're living in a past world instead of saying, you know what, here's a restaurant. We haven't eaten this restaurant for a long time. Don't know if it's expensive. Don't care. This is what we're going for.
Yeah.
And then you create that moment and people see the radiance of you and they go, wow, you've changed. And isn't that what you want? It's people to notice how happy you are. Don't you want to be happy?
Right.
It's because you've spent the time to design what you want.
I love that. And you talked about like the emotion and the mood, and that literally can create your personality, right? Yeah. And like on that note, like if there's something that has happened, whether it's a traumatic experience or whatever, like if there's something in your life that you're dwelling on, an emotion, like as you replay that in your mind and in, that energy, like your body doesn't necessarily understand that like you're not in that moment still. Right. Like you are creating the same effects in your mind and body as if you were there again, experiencing that or whatever that is. Like it's you're recreating it.
Your brain doesn't realize it's in the past. Right. It thinks it's in that current moment.
So it's like you're just literally reliving it over and over and over, and that's what creates those like your personality and your So you have to be very aware of the things that you're like dwelling on and letting go of, and make sure that those things are aligned with what you want your thoughts and feelings and personality and future to be.
Yep. And I use the words chemical because like drugs are chemicals as well. And that's why I'm tying the two together. You think about it, if you're used to feeling fear every single day because of something that happened to you 25 years ago, your body's addicted to fear. It's
literally addicted to that feeling,
and it wants that feeling.
Awful. You don't want to be addicted to fear, doubt, guilt.
So if you get up,
any of those things,
if you get up and you're like, today I'm going to change, and then that situation happens, your body is looking for that fear. And it's up to you to overpower that fear and say, no, I'm not going to allow it.
Right.
I'm not going to have my body be a drug addict to my own emotion. And I'll get passionate about that too.
Yeah.
And that's where it comes down to.
I think that's another great episode.
That's another one we can talk about. But you guys, you have to design what you want.
Yeah.
The best thing Ambry and I can tell you to do is write down what you want. Take your thought of what you want, put it to paper, and that is the process of creation and designing the blueprint to get you what you want.
Yep.
Don't let a thought go unwritten.
Do the act of knowing rather than not knowing.
Right. And then as you do that, your life will continue to change. You'll experience a different feeling in your life. And the best thing about that is it'll be who you're trying to become.
Yep.
And more purposes will open up. More opportunities will open up. More money will continue to flow for you.
Literally feel inner peace and like happiness that can't be found or created by like external or,
You'll be fulfilling your purpose here on this earth as a human being, as a creator, as a God-like individual, because you are going after the things you've wanted that you've created. There's no higher meaning and purpose in your life than that. And when you discover that, you're going to feel a sense of like power that you've never felt before.
And the joy and influence that you can then
yes,
give to other people, right? Like that's where like being able to give back really is powerful when like you have so much joy, confidence, inner peace, all of that like you can't help but, affect other people in positive ways, which literally is one of the most incredible feelings in the world when you can lift another person because you are in a great place yourself, right?
That's why you and I cry on this podcast from time to time, right? Like this is like we feel this extreme passion to help because we know so much in our hearts and how confident we are. Like, give us the task, we'll make it happen because we know it. If we want it bad enough, if that's truly what we want, we'll go get it.
Yep.
Vacation, great, got it. Don't even need to worry about it. I can start making the plan because I know I'm going to make it happen. And I know what it's going to feel like and all these other things.
All starts with a plan.
It all starts with a plan.
Knowing what you want.
I would invite every one of you guys to write down the very things you want right now. Top 5 things that you truly, truly want.
Yeah, right
that
now.
motivate you. Write them down. And then start working towards those things.
Think about them. What like, once again, what would it really be like to do that, to get that, to, whatever it is. Yeah. And... yeah, more to come, you guys. We're super
What would it
excited.
be like driving your dream car or going on your dream vacation with your dream spouse, with your dream everything?
Kids.
Right?
Kids.
Everything.
I love it.
What would it feel like? What would it smell like? What would you see? What would you hear? And in some cases, what would it taste like?
Yep.
And if you could understand that and visualize that, truthfully and understand what that would do for you as an individual and look at it from a higher purpose. You guys want motivation? Right there it is. Plain and simple.
You can do it.
You
deserve it.
I feel like even though we said we'd do this episode in like 20 minutes, there's no way.
No.
There's no way. But the power in this episode, like I'm over here like, dude, like what, 9:40 at night we're recording this thing and I'm ready to like kick over this stupid...
And because of daylight savings, it's really like 10:40,
I've got this stupid old filing cabinet in my office and I'm like looking at it going, I want to do one of these and I just want to kick this one over. But my soda's on there, so I won't do that.
Yeah.
Don't mess with that. You guys love this show.
Thanks so much for being here. Can't wait for more next week. Keep sending us feedback, ideas, things that, maybe you might be struggling with or not that, maybe we can, share some thoughts on. So
the coolest thing is when we jump on Instagram and someone has shared this show with their friends and said what it is meant to them.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not telling you need to do that, but it is a very fulfilling thing. And it's telling us to bring the heat and bring more ideas and more things to you guys because that's truly what's motivating to us.
Yep.
This whole podcast is designed to help people understand themselves and to start going after the things they want. So, like it, subscribe it, give us a 5-star, write down those top things, share those top things, tell as many people because they may be the ones that are the missing link to you to get that as well.
Yeah, it's true.
So,
okay, well, we'll see you all, or you'll hear us next week, and we hope to hear from you guys in between. So, don't be strangers, and until next week, make it a great week, everyone.